Hi, Jim Laird from Jim Laird Strength and Conditioning. And this week's tip of the week is not a tip of the week, it's a Q&A, answer to a question. Nick brought to my attention that Charles Poliquin, who's a very prominent strength coach, talked about how the goblet squat was completely useless on his latest podcast with the podcast he did with Tim Ferriss. And Charles is kind of known for making very broad, very strong statements. Actually, following Charles for years, he was one of the original coaches I looked to for information back when he wrote for Muscle Media 2000. Charles primarily works with elite level athletes like Olympians and things of that matter. So I would agree with Charles that for maximum strength development of the legs, the goblet squat is not the best option. But what it is good for is teaching beginners how to squat, how to get in a good position. It's really, really good for, say, like you have a high school basketball kid who's getting trashed in practice, who's practicing every day, who's playing multiple games a week. It's really good to give them just to maintain that squat pattern during the season so that they're not getting sore. It's really good for like working with some of the clientele that we work with that are only training like twice a week, whereas Charles's clients, they can train multiple times a day. Their job is to train. They're not doing really anything else other than practicing their sport. They're getting paid to train. So, you know, Charles has the ability to do manual therapy and all these different things on people to get them to do what he wants them to do, which is back squat, front squat, all that sort of stuff. Whereas we're dealing with normal everyday population who don't move as well, but can only get in here twice a week because they're working and they have schedules and all that sort of thing. So a lot of it depends on perspective. Yes, I would agree with Coach Poliquin that the goblet squat is not a great movement for developing maximal leg strength, but it is a great movement for teaching good position, especially double goblet squats. It's a great movement to get people to use their core properly and then progress them to like a back squat or a front squat later on. And it's really good, especially for the older population who don't necessarily need to develop any kind of maximum leg strength, but they do need to maintain that squatting pattern. So when people make statements, a lot of it is you have to look at what perspective they're coming from. So hope that kind of gives you some insight.